there's a lot of people in this country, rightfully so, who can throw a lot of slings and arrows at Mr. Trump. What I don't like is when they sling the arrows at the working class, downtrodden people who follow him because their lives have been ruined by this very system. Maybe they didn't latch on to Bernie Sanders. Maybe they haven't latched on to you, but they're latching on to Trump, not because they're vile human beings, as the neoliberal consensus media apparatus would have you believe, but because these are desperate people in desperate times and they don't know where else to turn. And I think you speak to that better than probably anybody else does in this very moment. I think it's very important to distinguish between those who are seeking help and those who are seeking to take advantage of those who are in need of help.
Well, you are so right. You are so right. I mean, both of y'all are so right about that. We know that what was about 1 out of 8 of those following Trump actually supported Bernie, and about 1 out of 12 actually voted for Obama. So that people are subject to a whole host of different changes in light of the lens through which they view the world. But the objective reality is that they have been victims of a corporate globalization that has left them behind in terms of their access to a job with a living wage, health care, decent housing, safe community. And if we don't speak to that, then all we have is fascism in our future. Because that's where fascism comes from. It comes
from Trump, not from
massive,
Trump.
After the massive collapse of an economic system that creates not just extreme wealth inequality, but views greed as something that is so positive that it justifies turning your back on working people, turning your back on poor people. And we saw it with Sister Hillary with her arrogance and condescension, calling them names as if they are ossified, petrified, cannot change, cannot be transformed. And it's a kind of dehumanization that takes place. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like Utah and other places, I'm spending time going right into Trump country. And I tell them explicitly, I've got a different vision. I've got a different view. I'm deeply in solidarity with how you're wrestling with the various forms of suffering, the various forms of economic deprivation, the various forms of being marginalized, the various forms of being looked down upon by professionals, and the professional managerial class has built into it a certain kind of arrogance toward working and poor people. Yeah. And as we know, it's only about 37 or 38% of our precious fellow citizens who ever set foot in a college. So the vast majority of our fellow citizens never go to college. You never know that from our corporate media. You never know that from our newspapers, and local newspapers have been wiped out for the most part, owing to the kind of monopolies and oligopolies that's taking place in every sphere in our society. And so you get working people who then follow a neo-fascist piper like Trump, who acts as if he's so concerned. And he's about as concerned to poor and working people as I am concerned about the worms right outside in the backyard here. Because he has no history, no record of being deeply concerned at all. Not at all.
I'm a very concerned person. I totally care about the working people. They're good people. I totally need their vote. After that, it's not so important. But before then, I need their vote. That's it.
Brother, you as good as Randy Credico. Well, no, Randy's very, 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 very good, but you are very good, though, man.
He does Bernie, he does
Bernie too,
and he does Bill Clinton very well.
Dr. West, I just want to come on here and say you have my blessing. Go run for president. You're doing a good job. Unfortunately, my day has passed. I need a new person to take the mantle. You're doing a wonderful job. You did good for me. I do good for you. Go out there, support Dr. West for president of the United States. He needs everyone's support.
That is my dear brother Bernie from Brooklyn and Vermont. That's him. That's him. It's just sad to see old brother Bernie just becoming so.
I'm so sad. Why is his name not on the ceasefire letter? Like this whole thing is like we're living in this bizarro universe where up is down and down is up. And the fact that we're arguing over whether calling for a ceasefire is somehow anti-Semitic and genocidal.
It gets even worse because we put out
this is crazy.
And we put out a post on social media acknowledging what happened to those 3 innocent young people. And this is important, Dr. West, because I really would love for you to touch upon this. You know, Bernie has an opening right now to really use whatever political influence over the populist left that he still has to say, now is the time for a ceasefire. They literally attempted to assassinate 3 students at the University of Vermont in Burlington, probably only a few blocks from where Bernie actually lives, and basically taking it right to his front door to say, yeah, it's gone too far now. And the one thing that I have noticed, especially from the aristocratic Zionist crowd, they have been pointing out, forgive me, I don't want to butcher the name, but it's like a kefe cloth that they wear.
It's the shawl.
The shawl. If you look online, you know who I'm talking about. The very affluent Zionists who fear for their lives, like their lives are in imminent danger right now.
They don't feel
look
safe.
Look out for the Palestinians wearing the shawl. They're dangerous people. Well, you know what? Somebody finally decided to listen to them and say, all right, I'm going to gun them down. And who's to say that's not the last time that isn't going to happen? I feel that if there ever was a moment where Bernie could really step up and do something, it's now, because he has political capital to go and do it. Will he? I'm not holding my breath.
No, that's a good question. That's a good point. And actually, you know, in October 2021, he actually wrote about an immediate ceasefire. You all know that, right?
Yes.
We got it right there on the text. But I think right now, you see, once you become part of the establishmentarian network and make certain kind of compromises, it's very difficult to be the free self that you were when you were over against the establishment. This is true across the board. We've seen it with the Squad and so forth and others. It's a human thing. And it doesn't mean that, you know, I love Bernie less. It's just that I'm more disappointed because when you have a genocidal attack taking place and you know your government has vetoed a humanitarian pause, and you can't call for a ceasefire, it's just pathetic. There's no other language for that. It's just thoroughly pathetic, because in the face of the sociopathic, if we can't be a countervailing force against organized hatred at that level and the precious babies at that level, then something's wrong. Now, see, it gets even more challenging, as you all know, because if, for example, there was a Palestinian occupation of precious Jewish brothers and sisters, and 7,000 precious Jewish babies had been killed in 49 days, and 15,000 precious Jews had been killed in 49 days. Do you think Schumer and all the rest of them, and Deborah Schultz, and even Bernie himself, do you think he'd have trouble calling for a ceasefire? Well, see, that's an important question to raise, because I know it's a thought experiment, but it sharpens the thing of what is the real moral and spiritual content of your stance.
Well, you know
that
what?
has to be at the center of it.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.